Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Professionally Unprofessional podcast. I'm Calvin Acton, joined once again by my good friends Reese and on the left, in the middle, and Elliot on the right.
Hello, everyone.
Uh,
So, first presentation, first console-specific presentation we're going to talk about because we didn't talk about the Xbox Developer Direct.
because who the hell cares?
I cared.
One
You
person,
and
the
like
whole
three
world.
other people.
The Legend of Mana thing they showed off was pretty good. Not Legend of Mana, Visions of Mana. Honestly, Visions of Mana, that's one of my most excited for games of the year now. But we did want to check out State of Play because we're all PlayStation owners.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
I wouldn't say unfortunately at this point. I'd say at the minute we've got some really good stuff on the horizon. But State of Play was out, and I think they actually managed expectations quite well with this one. They said the two big focuses of this State of Play were going to be Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin. We're going to get a bit of PSVR 2, some third-party stuff. This is the amount of games we're probably going to see. Don't expect much PlayStation first party. And they were absolutely right. PlayStation first party was not really here.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys have much expectation going into it? I know you avoid leaks a lot, Elliot, so you might have avoided some of the big things that were coming up in this.
nah, I didn't have any expectations.
You had no expectations whatsoever. Reese,
I never do.
You never really. Yeah, I know. You mean you probably. Reese, what was your thoughts going into this one?
I wasn't expecting anything massive. The Bloodborne fans were still coping on Twitter, saying today is the day.
I think a lot of them were saying that ironically. In all fairness,
it's got to be
like a lot. Is one of my someone I follow was basically going on about Kingdom Hearts 4 fans hoping for something even though they know they're not getting it.
Can I?
Kingdom Hearts is the Bloodborne of JRPGs at this point.
Can I add some? I'm gonna come back to Bloodborne as a subject later on in this because it does actually relate to another thing that got revealed in this presentation. But
it does.
Sort of. It's quite a tenuous link, but it's sort of like why a Bloodborne remake could be a thing down the line.
Because one of his daddies on the podcast he watched said it is possible.
No, I've not heard anything about a Bloodborne remake. It's how Sony does their business in a sense. So, I mean, first things first, thing I was definitely expecting, presentation opens with another trailer for Helldivers 2, which is out next Friday, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's like the 8th or something like that comes out.
Next Thursday, I should say. So it's a week from when we recorded this. The weird thing is, the more I see of Helldivers 2, it just doesn't look like it appeals to me.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be very live service focused.
It just looks like another Outsiders. Is that it?
Kind of.
Outriders.
Yeah, it does look very... Well, the thing is, as well, is I find it interesting that when Sony was going on about their live service model, this must have been one of the games, and it must have been so far along that they can't really cancel it. So the difference is I think Sony can eat a loss when it comes to a live service failing. We've seen that with Destruction All-Stars. There's a live service that failed almost from the opening of the game because it's a terrible game.
You're probably the only person who remembers that. Let's be honest.
And I mean, the only live service they're still really supporting at the minute, and I use supporting in inverted commas, is Gran Turismo 7. Because that just recently got an update that added like 4 cars. That game is still barren in terms of features.
Yep, and my review still stands.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, no, the only difference is it's a little better now because if you got a VR headset, because it's actually quite good in VR.
Which most players won't have access to.
Exactly, that's the big problem, and it's and it doesn't even, those VR controllers you get with PSVR 2, it doesn't even use those, like a steering wheel. So that's not. And the thing for me though is,
I mean, in all fairness, I feel like that would be a bit. It would be a bit finicky with the steering, like you go like that or something. Like I feel like if it would work better if you had something like an actual wheel.
yeah, which you can get, but it wouldn't be as
Like put on a headset, get a wheel controller, you're sorted.
the thing
Mostly, Gran Turismo 7 is still not good.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as innovative as, say, like the way the guns handle in the Resident Evil games are on there, which are excellent, actually. I will. Can I also add to the comment? Though Helldivers 2, I find it weird. This is the what we currently have. The way we currently have it, this is the only Sony first-party release of 2024
So far.
so far.
Yeah.
I don't see them adding anything new. What would they add and market that's not DLC within like a 6-month window, like 6 months at most for marketing? I don't see it really.
No, I can't think of anything.
Now that's not to say, and we'll come back to that we'll come back to that later. But it does seem rather interesting that Sony has basically said the third-party partners are going to handle most of the big exclusives this year. I mean, the thing for me is, I think I would check out Helldivers if it was either a free game or part of your PlayStation Plus subscription, and they wanted to make up, or you got it as part of a PlayStation Plus subscription, and they made up more of the money with PC sales.
I mean, Reese is going to be playing it now. There's a mech in it.
The one giant mech suit.
There's a mech suit in it, yes. So,
Yep.
so yeah, it doesn't. I can't say it appeals to me. Are you guys going to check this one out?
Nah.
No. I may bite the bullet and do it for the review.
I'll let you know on that one. But next one up, Stellar Blade, getting a much earlier release than I expected, because I was watching the trailer with Joe, and we were kind of saying, Joe and my mum, I should say, and we were all kind of thinking, well, this looks like it's nearly done. If Rise of the Ronin's taking up the March release date, then maybe this is coming October or September. And we were thinking May at the absolute earliest, but an April 26th release date for it. This is one Sony is publishing this game, so they have put a lot of money towards it. And looking at this gameplay, extended gameplay look, I don't quite understand why, because this doesn't look amazing in my opinion.
I think it looks good.
I mean, it looks good, yeah. It's you can really tell Nier Automata has been the big influence on this one.
Yeah.
Bayonetta, I think, also plays a bit of an influence on there, but Nier Automata was the thing that I was going through my head when I was watching it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it, Elliot? Because I think you really like the look of this one.
I mean, I'm a big hack and slash fan. This just looks like more of that.
Do you know another game?
Which is not a bad thing. I think it looks quite good.
Do you know another game it kind of reminded me of? You might disagree with this one, Elliot. Code Vein. It had aesthetically looked kind of similar in many ways to Code Vein.
I would probably more say Scarlet Nexus.
Scarlet Nexus. That's another one that came into my head. Yes.
By the way, I would like to know, Eurogamer, you picked a shit video player for the Stellar Blade thing. They didn't use like a YouTube link or anything. They used some third-party knockoff thing, and it's just gone straight into a fucking Suicide Squad video.
Oh no, that game's out tomorrow as well. That's going out to die.
Well, it's out now if you pay for the early access.
Yeah, and some of the clips I've seen of it just made me go, oh, this is awful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, some of this is just awful. Like, what the hell was anyone thinking commissioning this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I... So I would say, though, I would say the thing that put me off it a little bit is it looks like it's a lot of busy work in it, like in terms of like crafting stuff and doing loads of side missions to get the materials for that stuff. So crafting in video games kind of is something I'm a bit over now, because it seems like it's in just about everything.
I mean, I just see it as an inevitability. I just think, you know what? Fine. I'm used to it by now.
I will say it's a beautiful looking game.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, like the monster designs are quite good and varies.
yeah, it's
They're
certainly
not that generic.
yeah, it's certainly on some levels there are some unique aspects to it. Um,
I'm not. It reminds me of something. I'm not like looking at like the city. It reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. But so with the whole steampunk, almost steampunk cyberpunk aesthetic thing.
yeah, but it's also post-apocalypse they're going for as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I will. I mean, I'm actually kind of looking forward to this. It's the only issue is it's coming out in April, which is a bit of a stacked month for me with games like Unicorn Overlord and there's a couple. I remember there was something else coming out in April that I'm actually quite excited for. Oh yeah,
I thought that was coming out in March. Unicorn Overlord.
I'll double check that one. Oh yeah,
Like end of March.
Yeah, a Euden Chronicles. That's the one that's coming out in April that I'm really excited for.
Oh,
I mean, clearly I'm the only one excited for it, so I'm going to take the review job for that.
I didn't say I'm not excited for it. I said I'm cautious. I'd say cautiously optimistic is my opinion on Stellar Blade. Put it this way: if it's up for Game of the Year, I would not. When we get to the end of the year, by many outlets and in our chart and in our awards, it would not surprise me because it looks like it has potential. So next game up, it's Sega, and they showed off a remake, or I should say a remaster of Sonic Generations, which adds a bunch of shadow levels to the game, and so they called it Sonic X Shadow Generations. Please don't look up Sonic X Shadow with say search off.
You stole that joke from Twitter, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what. But everyone was already making that joke. I figured I'd add my one to the mix.
Yeah, I could hear your moan. I could hear your moans of pleasure from this from all the way up here.
Yeah, I was tempted to say this is my best thing. Now it's weird because I'm a little cautious because of how Sonic Colors Ultimate turned out. But from what I've heard,
I give it this. It's adding more content.
It is adding more content, which Sonic Generations really needed. That's the only complaint I ever have about Sonic Generations. It's a little lacking in content.
I mean, it's the most they've acknowledged. It's mostly acknowledged Shadow the Hedgehog in 15 years.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And some good news that when it got listed on Steam, it's been developed by the Sonic team themselves, unlike the Sonic Colors remaster.
So this one is actually being developed by Sonic Team. They've not handed it out to a third party, which I think is a good decision considering everything about it. But let's be honest, as much as I'm gushing over this, I fully acknowledge this is a massive promotional tool for the movie.
Oh yeah,
I mean, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, it's like let's get Shadow out there so that when the kids come out of that thing, the kids are going to go see the film just the week before Christmas, and then around the Christmas tree, they're going to have their copy of Sonic X Shadow Generations. But here's the thing I found interesting. It's only, from what I can tell at the minute, confirmed for PS4 and PS5.
Well, and also PC because it's on Steam.
And PC, yes. But I haven't seen a confirmation for an Xbox Series X version. And the Switch doesn't have it confirmed yet either. Now, I think in terms of that one, the Switch will get the confirmation when Nintendo gets their next console reveal, because I imagine this is going to be a cross-gen title. But oh god, this is a really cool. But I'm
rewatching the trailer now. It's actually it actually seems like they're adding quite a fair bit from Sonic Adventure 2 as well.
Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2.
Perfect Chaos. Yeah. No, not Perfect Chaos.
The Bio Lizard.
Yeah.
The Bio Lizard's in there.
That one.
The Bio Lizard's in there, and they've also added. Oh god, it's not called Radical Highway. It's that's the first Shadow level. But they add the last level from Sonic Adventure 2 in there, the one that's set in space. And that's cool. That's cool. That level's great, except for the fact there's way too many bottomless pits.
Also, the fact that I thought it was a bit too long.
Yeah, that level goes on quite
And
a bit.
there's like, and if you die as one character, you have to start right from the beginning again.
Here's the thing though, Sonic Generations is a really good Sonic game. Like, I mean, really good. And the thing is, for Xbox owners and Steam owners, they already have access to a 60 FPS Sonic Generations now. So to add in an extra one, I find kind of interesting. But again, they managed to get away with it because they're adding in that shadow content.
Well, I mean, also it's coming out for PlayStation as well, which doesn't have
the 60 FPS version.
Yeah,
exactly. The thing is, though, they've also got to nail down the load times because the load times on Xbox Series X are simultaneous.
Yeah.
So my pick for it's coming out in autumn, and I will tell you, it is getting streamed on my channel.
And you will wank yourself silly.
As I fall into bottomless pits again and again.
Oh, Sonic Generations is one of the few ones I'm actually good at. No,
I don't believe you.
I am really good at Sonic Generations.
I don't believe you're good at any game.
Sonic Generations.
We've known you too long, Cal.
See, the problem is Sonic Generations. I've been playing that pretty much ever since that game came out.
102 deaths in one stream of Crash Bandicoot.
Wow. Let's move on. I mean, well, before we move on, are you guys going to pick up Sonic X Shadow Generations, or is it just you leaving me to do it?
Yeah, I'll probably pick it up.
Next one, another one from Hollowverse, ZZZ. I can't remember. It's like Zoneless Zero.
Zenless Zone Zero.
Zenless Zone Zero. That's in development. They've just announced that it was in development for PS5. They didn't really give much else away. I haven't been playing this one, so I don't really know. I mean, the thing is with
I didn't even know it was out.
The thing is with Hollowverse, I want to get into their games because of they have some cool ideas with them, but the nature of how their games function just throws me off completely.
Yeah,
but just because it's gacha.
In the gacha elements, I can't stand gacha elements in games, even in games where that's not tied to microtransactions. Like I don't really like it in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with getting the various blades.
Yeah, but at least there it's free to do.
Yeah,
like Genshin.
So, I mean, I think good. I mean, maybe if people say it's really good, I mean, I might try Honkai Star Rail to see if it's any better in that one, but
that's still a gacha.
Yeah, I know it's still a gacha. That's a bit of a foam. Next trailer was Foam Stars. It's season 1's going to start on Tuesday from when we record this, February the 6th.
Don't care.
No, I really don't care. And I find it interesting the developers keep saying, please stop comparing this to Splatoon. It's like, how can I not compare it to Splatoon? This is really clearly heavily influenced by Splatoon.
Yep.
Elliot, did you like Foam Stars, the look of it
at
all? Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't understand why Square Enix has put so much into this. Here's one, though. Dave the Diver. That's coming to PS5 in April. And in May, it's getting a crossover with Godzilla.
Surprisingly.
I did like the look of the way Godzilla looks in the game engine, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, when I heard the music, I fucking laughed.
Yeah, no, I heard it.
I burst out laughing, just, you're kidding me.
I remember I heard it, I was like, what? We're getting Godzilla in this now?
Yep, and it's skipping straight to Burning Godzilla as well. Not even regular version.
So, hang on, with Godzilla, the thing about this is, I'm wondering, is this going to be timed DLC, like an event? Or is this going to be, it's always going to be in the game in some fashion. You know, like how I know it took a while, but some of the crossover stuff in Monster Hunter Rise is starting to disappear from that game in a future update. Like the Sonic stuff's getting taken out of it. Is that going to happen in this one, or is it going to be a perm one? I'm hoping it's there long enough so that I can actually take advantage of it, because I don't know how far you have to be into Dave the Diver to access the Godzilla stuff or the Dredge stuff that they did. I'll have to look into that, but I mean, I will say I'm seriously considering that the Tuesday or the Thursday stream after we're done in April might move on to Dave the Diver.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch.
Especially considering I quite like doing it with Ren potentially, because I think it'd be good to do a voice acting stream with that one.
You mean Ren do the voice acting and you just use your usual voice?
I'll do.
That's what always happens.
Except I can do. Except there's no seriousness to this game, so I can do some funny voices with this one. But so I mean, April for Dave the Diver. I mean, Elliot, you've already got it on Switch.
I don't know if I'll play it though. I thought Dave the Diver was fine.
You thought it was fine. I actually quite liked Dave the Diver. I thought it was a really good game.
I felt like it tried adding in too much.
I see what you mean, right?
And also, I'm not a big fan of the sushi mini game. I wish it was me cooking, not me just doing the bartending stuff.
And when you hire more staff, you're doing even less. That's what.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does seem a bit like busy work, the sushi mini game.
Yeah, it just gets more interactive the further you get along.
Actually, it gets less interactive the further you get along.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like Yassi Kosher said, surely the reward for doing well in the game is more gameplay, not less.
Yeah, that's what I find interesting. That's a good point. Does he still have the rights to that name with his new project?
I'm not sure.
Because he doesn't have rights to the original title. He had to change the name of the program. But does he have rights to the name Yahtzee Crowshaw?
Well, it depends if it was his screen name before.
I mean,
punctuation.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, so he's got
fine.
So he's got the rights to the name Yahtzee Crowshaw. He doesn't have the rights to the zero punctuation.
Yeah.
Name. Oh well, he does fine. He's done fine without it. I've been watching his content. It's been excellent.
Same.
Moving on. V Rising, that's finally getting console versions in 2024. This Vampire Diablo game.
I saw the look of the vampire. I thought, what do you mean that's not Alucard?
I remember I didn't recognize it. I had played it on the PC, but I didn't quite recognize it at first. And me and Joe were looking at it going, well, this is very Blizzard.
Yeah.
And absolutely right. V Rising, I mean, it looks pretty good. I'm glad it's coming to consoles sometime in 2024. What do you...
Looks like it'll be right for a Castlevania crossover DLC.
Oh, God, that would be brilliant. Elliot, does this one appeal to you?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the top-down games.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You've said in the past you weren't a big fan of top-down games. I mean, look. Could be all right. Let's have a look. Come back to it. Silent Hill segment now. 2 games they showed off. They showed off a free-to-play game that you can get right now called Silent Hill: The Short Message. I finished the first chapter before we did the recording for this, and it's very good.
Oh.
Like, it's a really interesting horror experience. They do a very good job making the world feel interactive. The story's very gripping.
When I saw the main character, I thought, oh, hi, female character from Saints Row 2022.
Oh my God, you're right. I just realised.
I mean, come on, that's just the look that every female Gen Z protagonist has.
She reminded me a lot of the protagonist from Forspoken. I'm not going to lie on that one.
I would have said that, but glasses.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I will say they did a good job giving her own identity, and it handles some very heavy subjects. Like, to such an extent, they have to put several warnings throughout the game, along with some hotlines.
I mean, Silent Hill.
Yeah.
That kind of just comes to the territory.
Having
Having a Silent Hill without warnings is like having this show without being incredibly boring.
Hey.
I will say though, if this is where they're going with Silent Hill in the future with games like Silent Hill F, I'm all for it. It definitely feels like they were trying to mimic PT in certain ways. It's not as clever as PT, but it's still very well handled. This would be amazing in VR if it had that mode to it. But
and now the question is, how long until Konami takes this down?
I see. Here's the thing. I think it's going to lead into I haven't finished it yet, but I think this might lead into Silent Hill F in some fashion, because it definitely feels like some of the flowers play a big theme in it, particularly cherry blossoms. And we saw in that trailer, flowers play a big theme in that game.
Either that, or is secretly a tie-in to that really bad Twitch stream game they did. That everyone was complaining about.
That looked terrible from what I saw.
And you were right. Everyone who played it said it was terrible.
So it's free to play. You can get it right now on PlayStation. I actually think this one's pretty good. Especially the monster AI in it actually is very good at stalking you. But they did show off also some more gameplay look at Silent Hill 2 Remake. And I was waiting for give me the autumn 2024 release window. And then they didn't give us that, and it just said wish list now. And that says to me, this is not coming until 2025.
Or this will be cancelled because Konami.
No, I don't.
It's Blooper Team doing it.
Yeah, it's Blooper Team.
Not Konami, so
Konami's publishing it. Blooper Team is making it, which is good because it means that the one thing that's their biggest weakness will not be a factor in it, which is narratives. Blooper Team's not very good at making narratives. That's always been the big complaint with games like The Medium and Blair Witch.
I thought the narrative for The Medium was all right.
You're in the minority. A lot of people really didn't like the story of The Medium.
The problem I had with Medium, though, in all fairness, was the ending.
And that's the thing. I think Konami's going to be very strict on them. You are not allowed to change too much about the story because this is our most critically acclaimed Silent Hill. Would we say Silent Hill 2 is the most critically acclaimed Silent Hill game, or is it Silent Hill? Because I hear
it's the one everyone goes back to.
I hear Silent Hill 3 is another one that people say is one of the best ones.
Not nearly as many people talk about praise Silent Hill 3 as they do Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah. So Silent Hill 2. So, I mean, it's kind of in. I will say the gameplay looks pretty good, though it's very clear the Resident Evil remakes were a big influence on this game.
Yeah, and that kind of makes me a bit nervous as to how scary it would be. Because for me, a big part of not just the Silent Hill charm, but also what made it scary was the clunky controls. And it makes me a bit worried that this is gonna do a Silent Hill Homecoming.
If the clunky controls,
which guys, you should not do Silent Hill Homecoming.
So, if they don't, I think what they could do is they could make very good AI. Like even in Resident Evil 2, the clunky controls are gone in Resident Evil 2 remake. But Mr. X is a terrifying aspect in any playthrough.
Yeah, the difference is, it's definitely the clunky controls are definitely more important in Silent Hill, in my opinion, than it was in Resident Evil.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I kind of interesting that everyone talks about Silent Hill 2 and 3. They don't really talk about Silent Hill 1 all that much. I think that's.
I think it's just because it's so dated now.
Yeah, it hasn't. Yeah. It's definitely the one that's aged, with the exception of Silent Hill 4. It's probably the one that's aged the worst.
It's why of all the remakes, I wanted Silent Hill 1 remake more.
But again, you kind of have a Silent Hill 1 remake on the Wii.
It's Forbidden Memories doesn't count.
Yeah, I know. I was stretching a bit with that one.
That doesn't count. It's a retelling at best. Or reimagining.
That's the closest we're ever going to get to that. Do you guys feel a bit disappointed that Silent Hill 2 is probably not going to come out this year?
Not really.
No.
I am a little bit.
I wasn't really expecting it, in all honesty, to come out this year. In all honesty, expecting either. If it did, I thought it would be late.
I will be honest. I'm a little disappointed because it feels like it's starting to feel a bit like 2024 is a bit of a stopgap year for the gaming industry. At this point, I'm not really seeing where the big games in the second half of the year are coming. It's like, is Nintendo going to have a big blowout for that? Really, I feel like Silent Hill 2 would coming out in the autumn would have offset that, it ties in with another trailer that's coming in this one. Speaking of which, another game that you can only wish list at the minute. Some of the BioShock team have made Judas.
Yeah, you can really see the BioShock influence in it.
Oh yeah.
I can see a lot of Infinite in this.
I'll be honest. As someone who's not a huge BioShock person, I'd say I thought this looked all right.
Yeah,
but I'm finding it a bit interesting that loads of people are trying to mimic BioShock all of a sudden. Like we got that one Clockwork game that Xbox is working on.
That one's a bit different though.
That one's a little different from what we can tell, but I've seen quite a few people try to mimic BioShock in some fashion. Why do we think BioShock has suddenly become a huge influence again? Because it felt like it was a thing where it disappeared for a little bit, and now it seems to be resurging everywhere.
Because it's a big game. A lot of people really like it, and it's old enough now that people are starting to feel nostalgic for it.
Yeah. That is a thing. BioShock is now kind of nostalgic because it's that 360 generation, which many people who are playing a lot of games now were like us were teenagers when that console was out.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the look.
If you want to feel old, BioShock 17 this year.
Oh man, that is weird. I remember that coming out.
I was 10 when that came out. Fuck you, I'm young.
I remember that game coming to 360, and then there was the PlayStation fans complaining they had to wait ages for the PS3 version.
I remember being introduced to it by one of my friends in high school, saying it was his favorite game at the time.
Now we got 2 VR games coming. Metro Awakening VR. This looked quite good, actually.
It looked very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's genuinely made me go, okay, I'm not selling my VR headset. Yeah, I want to try this out. So that's coming out in 2024, later this year. I will say that it made total sense for a Metro game to be in VR.
Yeah.
However, I will stress this. I still, at this point, cannot recommend the PlayStation VR 2. Even with some of the really good games that I like. Resident Evil 4 VR is amazing, even though the section on the bridge with Ashley is still fucking awful, even in VR, because I didn't have enough bullets, and they kept grabbing her, and I couldn't do a thing, and then
That sounds more like a you problem.
But it was a case of the whole segment.
I mean, in all fairness, we've seen you stream Resident Evil 4. You know how angry I was with you on that game.
My aim is a weird thing is my aim is better. You'd probably be less angry with me in the VR mode because my aim is a lot better in VR.
Yeah, because it's easier to aim.
I will also but as I say, I'll let you. I'm not looking forward to dealing with the reanimators because I have an issue actually with the VR head mode in Resident Evil, which is the scope. I don't know what they've done.
You mean the Regenerators? The
Regenerators. Because I've got to use the scope in that one, and the scope sight in the VR mode is terrible. Like it's
meant to be realistic.
It's barely visible though. I can't see anything. I I have to close one of my eyes to actually get a good shot.
Yeah, because it's a scope. You're meant to look through it with one eye.
Damn it! There's sometimes where realism isn't necessary, but the next one was a VR game where me and Joe both went, "This looks terrible." Legendary Tales.
I think it actually looks quite fun. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
The reason why is because it reminds me a lot of this early VR game, Blades and Sorcery,
Oh yeah.
which that was fun. That was just a lot of mindless fun. And from the look of it, like it looks like a big mechanic of the game is actually crafting weapons, and the range of weapons you have, that looks awesome.
Do you know what? If people say this is real, I mean, this comes out on the Thursday after we record this, February the 8th.
The same day as Helldivers.
Hey.
I mean, if it's not too expensive, I might try this one out with my VR2 headset, see if it's any good. Like, I'm keeping it for Metro Awakening now, so I might as well keep going. Although I will say as well, if you're going to play Tetris Effect in VR2, do not use the VR2 controllers, because playing Tetris with a joystick rather than a D-pad is a nightmare. I keep hitting the up button and it means I keep misplacing my Tetris blocks.
This has been another random tangent with Calvin Atkinson.
Dragon's Dogma 2 out March 22nd. Still, Capcom doing
this is an awkward date for that game to come out, because March 2022 is not. So it's March 22nd. Is not only the same day that Rise of Ronin is coming out. It's also the same day that the Princess Peach Showtime is coming out.
Yeah, that's a big day. Princess Peach Showtime, Rise of the Ronin, and Dragon's Dogma 2. That's a poor day for your wallet. And I will be honest, Dragon's Dogma 2 does not excite me too much. Like,
I think it looks good.
It looks good, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't sold on the I wasn't huge on the last game, and this looks like more of the same. I mean,
it looks like it mostly looks like Monster Hunter, but with more dragons.
Yeah, it's basically if you play Monster Hunter and Witcher.
I mean, if this gets really good reviews, I'm definitely going to check it out. But I think my time when that comes out is mostly going to be spent on Princess Peach Showtime and on Rise of the Ronin.
I mean, the original Dragon's Dogma is still becoming a cult classic now. A lot of people are sort of gone back to it and went, you know what, it's actually pretty good.
So Dragon's Dogma. So here's the thing: how well do we expect Dragon's Dogma 2 to sell on that basis? Do we think this is going to be that the people that actually are going to put their money where their mouth is and say we would buy a new Dragon's Dogma if it came out, or is it going to be another case of, well, everyone says they'd buy it, but the reality is that many people actually did want to buy it?
I mean, as I said, it's a cult classic. You can't really tell.
Yeah, I think it'll do decently well, but I don't see it getting to like Monster Hunter levels of sales.
I
mean, you never expect that anyway. This is one of Capcom's B series.
I think if Capcom's smart, they shouldn't aim for. They should say it's really good if we get 2 million or 3 million in sales. Like 2 million copies or 3 million copies sold, I think would be a good amount for Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare it to another thing, Alan Wake 2.
Well, how much did Alan Wake 2 sell?
Not sure.
Let me see that one, because that's the thing that was going through my head. Because Alan Wake 2, I think, sold better than I was expecting, especially for a digital-only game. Here we are, Alan Wake 2, copies sold. I mean, Alan Wake 2 currently has, last checked, has around 850,000 copies sold. So it's going to break that million soon. But at the minute, it's a bit unclear at this point if Alan Wake 2 has been profitable for Remedy.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine it would be.
I think it has been, and I think the thing we know is that I think the Game Award nominations actually will have helped it, because if you think, because we know for a fact from studies that have been done that Oscar nominations do increase the box office revenue for a lot of films. So I imagine it would apply to video games. I imagine there's been an uptake of sales after those nominations came out. So we'll see how Dragon's Dogma sells, but I think what we need to do, what I'm hoping is Capcom are going to temper their expectations so they don't say this has been a financial fail when it's sold quite well, like they've done with some of the Devil May Cry games, or they've done with some of the Mega Man games, even though they've sold quite well for what they were worth.
The difference is, I think Capcom kind of views them as sort of their A series. As I said, this is more their B. Which
is one of the reasons why I'm a bit more hopeful they'll temper their expectations. Rise of the Ronin, that gets an extended gameplay look. That's got the March 20. We've already said it's got a March 22nd. Very Assassin's Creed, but looks like they got a lot more cooler combat.
Yeah.
I was thinking it looked more like Ghost of Tsushima with a bit of Sekiro in it.
Yeah, that was the other two games that me and Joe were discussing at the time. We said Ghost of Tsushima has clearly played a huge role in this. Here's the thing, though, with all those influences, we know that we're pretty sure the Assassin's Creed game for this year is going to be whatever codename Redfall tile is going to be, which is set in feudal Japan.
China.
No. That's Code Jade is the China one. The Code Red.
I mean, I didn't know that. Stop putting words in my mouth. I didn't know that.
Code Red is the one set in Japan, and Code Hex is the one that's set in the Salem witch trials.
I mean, that one's kind of obvious, considering Hex.
But the how do we feel it's going to be, though, with both this and the Japanese setting in Assassin's Creed? Is this going to take away from that game now that, or do you think fans have been waiting so long for that it won't take away from it?
I doubt it'll take away.
I respond with this: who the fuck cares about Assassin's Creed?
Mm-hmm. I'll put it this way, Reese. You played Assassin's Creed Mirage for our reviews last year.
Yeah.
You didn't really like Mirage that much. Do you think there's much left for Assassin's Creed?
Well, Valhalla was decent, but it was so stuffed with fluff I could easily ignore. And Mirage was too back to basic, and it was just mid as a whole.
So they need to find a middle ground between those two.
Yeah, they really need a revamp.
How do you revamp Assassin's Creed, though?
Okay, they can always go back to the Black Flag mechanic, make everyone pirates.
Well, the thing is, Black Flag was my favourite, but again, they're trying that with that terrible Skull and Bones game.
Yeah.
The thing is, they've tried to add in, Black Flag stuff in every game since, and it's still been shit.
So, what do we think of the look of Rise of the Ronin? I think the Bakumatsu setting, I think I pronounced that correctly, the late 19th century setting is rather interesting because it's very similar to it's aesthetically quite similar to some anime we've watched, like My Happy Marriage and Taisho Otome Fairy Tale, and the Yokohama setting is kind of interesting because it obviously we've seen Yokohama quite recently in Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
Although obviously there's been quite a few decades between the settings of both of those.
Now, if this got Godzilla DLC, though, that would be amazing.
What do we think of the look of Rise of the Ronin? Because I thought this looked okay.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, it looks decent. The only thing I'm worried about is that the enemies look very health spongy.
They certainly are, yeah. But
I feel like because of that, we're gonna get smaller fights. It's not going to be like Ghost of Tsushima, which, mind you, did already have some spongy enemies.
But and Ghost of Tsushima,
I feel like it's going. And who knows? Maybe there'll be an upgrade system where you can take down those enemies faster. And we don't know because we don't know at what point in the game we're watching.
Yeah, and Ghost of Tsushima, despite the fact having spongy enemies, the combat in that is great.
It seems like it's taken a lot from that with the stances and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Ghost of Tsushima is clearly a huge influence on this game.
Yeah.
And it's weird to think, though, Ghost of Tsushima, that feels like it came out yesterday. By the time this releases, it'll be just under 4 years since its release.
I believe that.
Yeah, that is weird to think, though. So clearly, I think so. That's say we're safe to say Ghost of Tsushima definitely played some role in the influence on this one. Which, isn't Rise of the Ronin a PlayStation exclusive?
I think
No,
so.
I don't
Oh.
think so. I don't think it is actually. I think one sec.
Or it might just be a timed exclusive.
Yes.
Nah, it's PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, it's going to remain a console exclusive from the studio. It's from, I mean, it's from the studio behind a few games that you like, Elliot, like Wulong Fallen Dynasty. I know you liked that one.
I thought it was all right.
But I'm curious to see how this turns out. I would make a wager this is going to do low 80s on Metacritic.
Yeah.
I feel like it could probably edge into the mid 80s.
So you're thinking 84, 85?
Something like that.
I think this is going to be 81, 82.
Yeah, I'm thinking low 80s as well.
So
Because I think a lot of people will just say it's a bit too derivative of games that have come before.
But again, I think that would be unfair because just because something's derivative doesn't mean it's bad. I think we're a bit caught up on. Tell me if you guys agree with me on this one. Are we a bit too caught up in the idea of innovation that we're ignoring a lot of games that just take something that's been done and refine it really well?
I don't know because I'm really no.
I would say. I mean, let's talk about. I mean, let's say, Elliot, your favorite game of last year was Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Now Alan Wake 2 doesn't do too much new, but it just takes what was in the original Alan Wake and refines it to an excellent degree. It looks at what works. Oh, the psychological horror aspects of it. Let's turn that up a little bit, and as a result, it creates this amazing experience. I stand by. You made a really good choice with that game.
I mean, it's actually really different to the original Alan Wake.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The only thing that's real, it doesn't really refine anything. It just takes it and does something completely different.
I would actually agree. Actually, in retrospect, I would actually agree with you on that one. I think I've used a bad example there. I mean, I'm very curious what Rise of Ronin's going to feel like when it.
I mean, at the same time, you're on the ragey side of Twitter. Meanwhile, I tend to try and stay on the more positive side.
No, the thing is,
I'm on the side that's praising Alan Wake. You're on the side that's bitching about Spider-Man 2.
Can I be honest with you, Elliot? I want to go to your side more because I'm getting sick of that side. But the weird thing is, I can't avoid it for some reason. It keeps every time I'm like, right, I'm not gonna do. There's a reason why I don't post my opinions on pretty much anything on Twitter because I'm just not in the mood for an argument. I'm at that stage where I'm like, right, everyone's gone completely off the rails on this website. You have your opinions. I don't give a fuck. I'm out. I'm not in the mood to argue with you because you're clearly the most irrational people on the planet.
That's because I just follow meme pages most of the time.
Yeah, well, those are great.
and YouTubers I think are dead positive.
I'm also following.
Meanwhile, every time you talk about Twitter, you're always bitching about what someone's complained about this time.
No, well, the best things I did was get into Pokemon VGC Twitter because they actually are very funny on there. They actually are quite funny guys. And to such an extent, I saw someone do, after Wolf Glick won a regional with Incineroar, someone did the Gimli meme of never thought I'd die side by side with an Incineroar. So let's move on to our second to last announcement. And this one, I heard rumors about this and I was a bit underwhelmed when I saw it. It's an Until Dawn remake.
Yeah, this just felt really unnecessary because you can still go play the original fine.
It is like 7 years old.
It's not that old at all. It's not even 10 years old at this point.
When did Until Dawn come out, actually?
I think 2014?
In that case, it will be 10 years old this year.
Yeah, it is. It's 10 years old. if that's the case. I mean, I'll double check that, but
2015.
2015, I was nearly there. So it's just under 10 years old.
Yeah.
That still feels pretty. This feels.
If we complain about The Last of Us getting a remake,
yeah, that only seems fair to complain about this one.
Yeah.
I mean, oh god, Elliot's frozen.
He's frozen on his orgasm face.
Hopefully we'll get him back for this one. But I think Elliot was right that if we were going to complain about The Last of Us, this only feels fair to complain about this one.
He's back.
I gotta be honest as well. It felt very Last of Us remake in that sense of I'm not really seeing where the big innovation is on this trailer. I'm not seeing why.
Apologies for blacking out for a second. My Wi-Fi is as good as as useful as a condom in a maternity ward.
So how do we feel about this Until Dawn remake? Apparently it is adding new locations and collectibles and possibly new plot elements. But judging from that trailer, it's not going to change much of the overall plot.
I would prefer if they just did a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you do a sequel to Until Dawn? Because
one of their friends is still a Wendigo.
Oh yeah, Josh. I think
they could go back, or like we could follow a new cast with the. We could follow a new cast going there, and one of the guys from the last game was there to try and take out Josh or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of think though that would be that would be a lot more interesting. But I mean, Until Dawn's one of my favorite PS4 games, so I am going to pick this up to see what it's like. Interestingly, not being done by Supergiant Games, this one, because they don't own they don't own the Until Dawn franchise. The PlayStation still has an ownership in that.
I still think that's shit. Like, if you made it, surely you should be able to own it.
I think what it is, I'm not sure entirely. It might be similar to Bloodborne, where FromSoft does own a portion of that, and Demon Souls is the same with this one. But PlayStation does also own a stake in, but does a partial ownership of both Demon Souls and Bloodborne. So if ever anyone wants to do anything with them, they need the approval of both companies.
Yeah.
So, for example, that Blue Box. So, for example, when Blue Point was making that Demon Souls remake, they did have to get FromSoft's approval to make that. This does give. Then this was going back to my point about Bloodborne remake. PlayStation can now go to someone and say, "Do you want to make it? We own this. So, do you want to have a go of remaking it?"
Yeah.
They could go to Blue Point. Well, I mean, they own Blue Point now, so they could go to that. Or they could go to, I think it's Housemarque is the one who makes Returnal. They could go to them and say, do you want to make Bloodborne? So I would say don't count it out on that basis, because this is proof. They didn't need Supergiant Games to make this. They went to someone else and said, do you want to make Until Dawn?
Yeah.
Graphically, does this look like it's been... Do you guys think this looks like it's been remade from the ground up for PlayStation 5?
Oh, we've seen fuck all on that, so I can't really tell.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at the model of the killer in the mass killer, and I thought, that doesn't look very different to the PS4 model.
Yeah, if anything, it just looks slightly more dirty.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm going... But I will pick up Until Dawn when it comes out. Probably around October. This definitely feels like a Halloween release.
Yeah.
My hope is that they're going to add the innovations that have come in the Dark Pictures Anthology trilogy around the multiplayer aspects of those games. And you can...
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that if you want. Like, pass it to just assign everyone a character and then pass it along with you having a watch party for it. But it would be nice if they added a few of the elements of that. Like, let's be honest, as much as we complain about some of the Dark Pictures Anthology, there is some good stuff that's been added to those games.
The thing that's bad about the Unprofessional trilogy is just the stories have all been shit.
Some of them have been okay. I quite liked the one Little Hope. That one was all right.
Yeah, but then Ashes of Medan.
Oh yeah, that one was bad.
Yeah. Or Racists in Iraq.
Oh yeah, the really racist soldier in Iraq who then basically had the story arc equivalent of the racist dragon from that song. Yeah.
Basically, somehow he ended up getting a character redemption the level of Zuko.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
Where somehow, how are we liking you now?
Yeah, I know. So that the racist. Well, not anymore. So that I think we're both agreed that's probably coming October,
Yeah.
late
Probably.
September, absolute
If it is
earliest.
coming out this year.
Yeah, they have said a 2024 release date, so it will be this year. And finally, we got a very long extended trailer for Death Stranding 2 with a
9 minutes and 41 seconds.
Oh
It
god!
felt like an hour.
That's the thing. It was like it really reminded me a lot of that really long Metal Gear Solid 4 trailer that came out. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, the one with the in-universe interview.
Oh yeah, and
Because Kojima is nothing if not consistent with how obnoxiously long his things are.
as much as I am a Kojima fan, I do think he goes a bit over the top. And here's the thing: I'm now wondering, based on the fact he also talks about an espionage game he's working with Columbia Pictures on. I'm wondering, was Kojima being sort of like held back a bit at Konami, and they were basically saying, no, focus your ideas a bit more. I know obviously they did some real awful shit to him. I'm not going to deny that, but I'm wondering, did they sort of ground his ideas a bit? And now that he doesn't have those restraints in place, he's just doing every single idea that comes into his head.
Possibly, yeah.
And I was like, no, Kojima, refine it. Figure out what you want it to be. That being said, he might have sold me on Death Stranding 2.
Really?
I like the fact that the environments are a little different. I like the fact that it looks like the game's going to be a bit more of a interesting concept this time. I like the should we have connected? Maybe they'll say everything you did in the first game actually didn't make things better. They made them worse. Apparently, and I like the fact they're going most of North America with the setting. Like I think they said Mexico is going to be in this one. I don't know if Mexico was in the last one. I have to actually finish the first Death Stranding. Is it just me, or like? What did have you guys actually played the first Death Stranding?
No, it didn't interest me.
All I can say is it probably, if the trailers didn't interest you, the gameplay is not going to at all.
Yeah.
But I love the multiplayer aspect of Death Stranding, though. The fact that you can have those players create something to help each other out. So like that bridge now that players created, it's now there for a long time and it adds that connectivity between all the players. So I think there's some interesting and cool ideas, but it feels like ever since Metal Gear Solid, Kojima comes up with more interesting ideas and he comes up with good ideas.
Yeah, definitely more abstract ideas.
They made the puppet out of stop motion animation.
Yeah, that was amazing. That puppet was weird as hell.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna say something that I've seen a lot of people say. That puppet looks so much like Alan Wake.
Oh my god, you're right. I've noticed it now that you've said it.
So that's what happened while he's trapped in the dark place.
Also, while we're on the subject, I love the new villain in this. They got the guy with the guitar weapon.
I mean that weapon's gotta be shit if you're bad at guitar.
Mike, but it's. I mean,
time to not treat Kiss well after they became an AI band.
Ha! Can we? Here's the thing, though. I thought they were going to go with November 2024. That would be the release date of this thing, and this would be like, okay, this will be a interesting closeout for the year, and that will be PlayStation sorted for their year. Final Fantasy in February, March Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade in April, probably something smaller in April, Until Dawn at the end of the year, October, and then Death Stranding. And they said, no, 2025. And I'm like, wait, 2025? What is coming out in this? Is Until Dawn all that's coming out in the second half of the year for PlayStation owners?
I mean, it's all we know so far.
Yeah. Unless we know more from another direct down the line.
So, in that sense, do you think it's going to be a bit of a weird year to be a PlayStation? The fact we don't have that so far, do not have that big game at the end of the year.
I mean, it won't be the first.
It wouldn't be the, but I can think of like a big release that was at the end of most years, like in 2020. Actually, yeah, you're right, because 2021, I don't think there was a big one at the end of the year.
Was there one last year?
Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, Spider-Man 2, and then you had God of War. Yeah, in 2021, they kind of had it mostly come out in the first half of the year with things like Ratchet and Clank. But, yeah, you're right. So it wouldn't be the first time, you are right. And PlayStation is not always typical on trying to meet that deadline of an big end-of-the-year game. They're not like Xbox and Nintendo in that sense, who do try to aim to have something like that.
Yeah.
So, for example, this year for Xbox, it's going to be the Indiana Jones game. God knows what it'll be for Nintendo. Probably a new Mario. Or Metroid Prime 4, but that would be very interesting if they want to go for Metroid Prime 4 as their big release.
Yeah, that's very wishful thinking, Cal.
No, I think Metroid Prime 4 is this year. I think it is the launch with the new console.
You've been saying that for the past 5 years.
Put it this way, if it's not this year, I really don't know what to say at that point. I'm like, okay, has this game been... I'm going to go very much into Hollow Knight Silksong of, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Because Calvin is anything if not impatient.
I'm more worried about Hollow Knight Silksong just because I want to know is Team Cherry okay? Because is their finances okay on this one? Because they might, if they take too long with this, they might lose the Game Pass deal they've got. I mean, they could always re-sign it, but Xbox might be a bit iffy to agree to a re-sign.
Yeah.
And again, we don't know what was part of that deal. We don't know for certain, for example, is there you have to release this as part in this amount of time period for this deal to be worth it. But, so, I mean, Death Stranding 2, though, for me, I feel like it's only going to appeal to the biggest of Kojima stands. I think a lot of his fan base, I think, kind of dropped off with Death Stranding. It was polarizing even within the Kojima fan base. I mean, is there anything that would convince you guys to try and go into Death Stranding now? The fact it's on PlayStation Plus hasn't done anything.
I'm just not a big fan of the gameplay, to be honest. The whole walking simulator.
It just never interested me. In all fairness, though, I'm one of those weird ones who isn't real. I'm one of those weird people whose favorite Kojima game is Zone of the Enders.
Hey.
Oh,
Not even second runner, the first one.
Zone of the Enders is good.
Yeah.
So you're not really a big Metal Gear Solid person, are you, Elliot?
The only Metal Gear game I've beaten is Rising.
And now everyone's got Rules of Nature stuck in their head again.
As they should.
So that
you mean it left?
So that was the state.
We have one last announcement.
Oh yes,
we're getting a state of play on Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is getting a state of play, and it's me and Elliot are in London going to a gig at the time. So
So in other words, people going to Beast in Black, be prepared to hear just in the back Calvin go, "Oh shit, they got Vincent."
I will stress though, I'm not going to watch it.
Oh,
I don't believe you.
No, I'm very worried this is going to give away way too much of the game. I want to go into 7 Rebirth as blind as possible now. I've seen enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a first time. Calvin wants to go into something with not knowing everything. Oh God, the shock and horror. Who are you?
He's gone.
Who the fuck are,
And we never heard from him
who
again.
the fuck are you? What have you done with the real Calvin? Who the fuck are you?
Put down the Red Queen, Elliot.
Who the fuck are you?
But the thing is, for me as well, is that Final Fantasy. I also want to fool the algorithm.
That's gonna seem very odd for people who can't see us, which they cannot.
Basically, I bought Elliot a replica of the Red Queen from Devil May Cry for his.
That
Christmas
keeps
present.
vanishing from the screen because my background is fucking shit.
So, I mean, here's the thing about the thing for me as well is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I want to fool the YouTube algorithm into thinking I'm not a Final Fantasy fan, so it doesn't give me cutscenes ahead of time.
I know it will.
Yeah.
So
It always will.
what do you guys? So here we go. I mean, Reese, are you gonna watch that one, or are you gonna give that one a miss and go in as blind as possible to this?
I'll probably watch it. 'Cause I am interested in seeing what's going to be revealed.
I think they are. I agree. They're not going to reveal too many plot elements, but they are going to sort of talk about the gameplay, the world map. But the thing is, like, it's not as if I'm really going to need to know that. I don't understand why they're having this, because it's a sequel to 7 Remake. We already know how that plays.
I mean, we have kind of seen there are going to be a number of new mechanics.
Some new mechanics.
Doggy.
Hello, Rip. Hello, Pepper.
Yeah.
Mother being a pest.
Oh.
Like you always are.
Oh.
So that was the state of play. On what do we think?
All right.
Yeah, it was average.
Yeah,
Nothing
I'd say it was
outstanding.
I'd say a B minus.
I go C plus.
I'd probably go B.
Like, some of the stuff in there was great. The Sonic Generations reveal, great. I like the look of. I love the Dave the Diver coming to PS5 and the Godzilla crossover. Silent Hill, Metro Awakening VR looks great.
I like the look of Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade looks really good. I think the thing that did it for me was way too many games that are a bit. I thought. This could have waited for a later presentation. I don't see why this had to be here. Like Judas and Silent Hill 2 Remake. I mean, Silent Hill 2 Remake at least justifies itself slightly because they were going to reveal that new Silent Hill game that's free-to-play Silent Hill game. They had to talk about Silent Hill 2 after that.
Yeah.
I
mean, so...
I mean, I will say with the new Silent Hill game, it's quite accurate advertising. It's Silent Hill, the short message, and it's a short game.
Hey.
Hey.
So we now have Xbox have kind of revealed their year. I think this kind of reveals Sony's year, but I think they've got a little more to talk about. Nintendo hasn't done theirs yet.
It's happening this month or next month.
I think
no, it is this month now.
February the 1st. So it is this month. So I think we are going to see. I think you're right, Elliot. I think we'll see a Nintendo Direct this month. I don't think we see the console reveal until next month in March.
I don't even know if we're going to see get the console announcement then.
They could be saving it for something big like summer.
Yeah, but that's a real. Let's say they're bringing it out in October, November, that sort of time period. That's a really short marketing cycle for a new console.
I mean, yeah, if I remember, the Switch came out not that long after they revealed it.
That was still 6 months, though. If you think about
it,
it'll
still be 6 months.
Well, let's see, June, July, August. September, October. Yeah, just about. You're all right. They could get away with that potentially, but what do you? So my thought is, what do we think of?
I mean, you need to remember, I'm one of those people who doesn't speculate.
What do we think of?
I just know games will come out when they do. I don't. As long as they do, I don't care.
Yeah, I would like to know a little bit about what's coming next, though, with Nintendo. And also get some release dates for things like Paper Mario would be cool.
Yeah.
Although they don't necessarily need to have a direct for a Paper Mario release date reveal, they could always just post that on Twitter. So what do we think of PlayStation's year at the minute? Because they've got Stellar Blade, they got Rise of the Ronin coming out in March. They got Helldivers 2 in February, Rise of the Ronin in March. I'm just going by exclusives at the minute. Stellar Blade in April, and probably at the end of the year, Until Dawn remake.
Yeah.
And then you got a couple of VR games added into that mix, and a bunch of the third-party stuff that's going multi-plat. How do we feel about that as a lineup for PlayStation at the minute?
I think that seems all right.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, there's a decent one, and like they don't really need much else because they've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in a couple of weeks. That is going to carry you a long way.
Especially if it's as long or if not longer than the original game.
2 discs. So it's possible. I mean, I'm very interested where we're going with Final Fantasy VII.
And also seeing as the last game did end at the end of Midgar, which is like 6 to 10 hours into the original game, so they have a lot to cover.
So in my opinion,
how funny would it be if this trilogy for Final Fantasy VII was just for the first disc of the original, and we have to do like 3 trilogies to get through all 3 discs.
So, I mean, I will say that's a good selection in my opinion. There's some interesting titles in there. Out of all of them, other than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the one I'm probably most excited for out of them is Stellar Blade, actually.
Same.
Probably Rise of Ronin for me.
And there's a bunch of real. Also, here's one for you. Based on what we know so far of release schedules, I'll throw Nintendo out of this one because I think Nintendo's going to have. I think I want to give Nintendo a little time to reveal more. Do we think PlayStation has a more exciting year than Xbox?
Well, I don't even know what the Xbox has.
Well, Xbox is going to give us this year. Their big releases are Avowed, which is coming out in the second half of the year. That's the Outer Worlds devs doing Elder Scrolls. They've got the Indiana Jones game that's being done by the Wolfenstein devs. They've got Hellblade 2 in May. And they've also got that Civ clone that's going to PC.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you even have to fucking ask? PlayStation's is way more interesting. Are you fucking kidding me?
I will say though, I feel like there's one game. I will say though, Avowed actually is one of my most anticipated games of the year now because of how good it looks. So I think Xbox has 2 very good games in there. Indiana Jones, I'm a little on the fence about. I mean,
the only of those I'm even slightly interested in is Hellblade.
Yeah, well, that'll be very interesting where that's going to go with that one. I have to agree with you though. I feel like PlayStation potentially could have a more interesting year if they can nail those games.
I mean, it's already more interesting.
Do you
there's more games here that maybe go than Xbox did.
Do we here's the thing though. How do we feel about the fact there's little first party titles here that Sony seems to have, their studios seem to be working on a lot at the minute, but we might not see that for a little while.
That's fine.
Yeah, I know I agree that. Yeah. I don't think they need to bring out those ones. I'll be interested though where they're going. Like when Sony Santa Monica comes back with Cory Balrog's new game, or we got the one that surprised me though was Team Asobi. I thought that they would do a reveal of something. So I mean that's a really underrated studio that PlayStation owns. They do the Astrobot games.
Oh yeah.
So I thought they would probably have something at this. I mean, we'll wait and see. I think we're all agreed though. We're going to probably get the next time. The latest of Noah PlayStation presentation is coming is around June time, and they'll do something like the PlayStation Showcase.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, so that's all well and good. We'll be back with Freshly Unprofessional probably sometime later this month, whenever Nintendo decides to do something. And Anime Amigos will be back on the 23rd of February, because where we're doing Anime Mastermind and our favourite romance anime.
Hey.
Yeah, I can once again tilt my head off about 100 girlfriends.
Hooray! So we'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you very much for tuning in. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.